I feel like probably the most important thing is developing a really strong niche that you are like the one of the sole proprietors of. Like you have like a strong vision. You're in your own lane, like kind of dictating what the standard is on that vision that you have. um, to me, like in and that other people recognize that you're like the leader in whatever discipline you chose to select. Like that to me is like what professionalism is.
But do you think that, just to play devil's advocate here, I think that's one strong approach, but do you think maybe like there's another approach, like maybe being well rounded as a whole, but maybe that's not
Oh
as
yeah,
effective?
absolutely. Like I think that being well rounded is very important. I think that like so and I didn't hash all of this out before we started talking about it, but if I were to start thinking about it, like to me, one of the most important things would be like impact on a session. If a certain individual is there at the session and it doesn't even matter who's there and who is skating, that person is showing up and is instantly like everyone is paying attention to what the person is doing. Like it's obvious that they're skating in a certain way. They're like kind of taking control of what's happening in the situation. Like
Yeah,
that's one sign of professionalism. Another
yeah.
one is going to be like obviously presence at a skate competition, whether or not you're able to maintain composure, whether or not you're able to land tricks whenever the pressure's on. I think that's one of the hardest things to develop as a skater, but there's obviously people who are able to, you know, control that and hone in on it. Like Julian Kudo just won that. I don't even know what the name of that contest was the other day that was in Italy, but he
Mhm.
wins almost every large competition that happens now. He's able to like live in the moment and show his best like whenever it's required, which I think that's a really sick skill to develop as well. Um, I mean, what else? You guys can. I'm completely open here to like kind of
Yeah,
hash it out.
so I was about to say, it seems like some of the things that you're talking about here, some come down to raw talent and ability, especially in the moment, but other things not so much. It just seems like, um, do you think that the presence is more important than the ability to land tricks, or do you think that, um, yeah, having that like impact at a session, like whether it's my point is like obviously it has to do with skating, but it's not so much skill related as it is like influence related. So it doesn't necessarily
Right.
come down to like technical ability or specific um, tools in your tool set of skating, like for example, like the
Yeah.
ability to, you have to be able to do big gaps, you have to be able to skate switch or whatever the case. It seems like more of a general presence kind of idea and
Right.
situational.
And that goes back to also like what kind of impact does like whenever you release new footage, like does it create any impact on the industry at large whenever things come out? Um, and I don't have like a great answer that actually defines any of this. Like to me it's like kind of an open question, like what really is professionalism, like who should or should not be, and like I don't want to be the arbiter of any of that. I just think like it's an interesting concept and like I don't know. I guess that being that like I feel I'm on the verge of going that direction, but like it's not at all formalized. So it's like something that's always on my mind. I know like Witzman and I talk about it from time to time. Um, my friends ask what's going on, and I'm like, you know, yeah, it's really hard whenever like expectations are placed on you. Like, hey, you're supposed to go pro, and then like having you know all of the history of rollerbladers in the past who either did turn pro and what they accomplished during that time, or people who were incredible at skating and got passed up and never turned pro, and having all of that in your mind, like it can definitely fuck with you as you're thinking about how you want to present yourself. And especially now, I feel like personally the bar is not as high as it was in the past to get to like the upper levels of what skating is considered now.
Mhm.
So it puts you in a weird spot, is what I'll say.
Right, so why do you
So you
think?
think the standards have dropped, or the level of competition isn't as difficult as it was in the past? What do you think's changed?
Seems to me like just less participants. Uh, in the past, you know, there were legions of rollerbladers that were 18 to 24 doing sick tricks in every single city. Now it's not the case at all. Like we're to the point where we're talking about, you know, a handful of kids in Poland that are like that age doing some tricks, a handful of kids in Japan and South Korea, and then a bunch of 30-year-olds in the United States that are still doing it. It's not
Yeah,
like
I was just about to ask: is that more of a like a domestic thing, or is that like an international thing? Because it seems if you look around on the world stage, that it's that, like you said, a handful here, a handful there, but it seems like a little more hopeful than what's the
yeah,
current trend in America. Like there are some younger skaters in America, but it's a little bit more few and far between.
definitely, I guess, in my opinion, not as much competition for the U.S.
Yeah.
Like, there's a there's a power vacuum here.
Yeah, and I guess the people who are in their 30s and approaching late 30s and 40s are maybe not as ruthless in their approach to competition as they were in their 20s. So maybe that's partially the reason for the change as well.
I agree there. I know that, like, I personally don't have a huge drive when I'm at a competition. I just want to like make a good showing and hopefully not get injured. Like that's the biggest thing in my mind. I want to keep skating. Like I'm not there to kill myself for $2,000.